everybody. Welcome to 2021. Rappers in my backyard. We back in the building and we're so excited. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope the end of the year was good for you, uplifting for you, and we got a lot of work to do. So let's get at it. Today, we are going to be rapping about pain into purpose, and on the grill, we'll be talking about healing souls. And you guys know I love setting up every episode with a quote that lays the groundwork for our conversation. So here's the quote. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. And that comes from Mahatma Gandhi. So that sets us up nicely to talk, express, relate, connect with our special guest today, kicking it off. Symbolic Soul is in the backyard. What's up, girl?
How's it going? I'm happy to be here.
Oh, man, I'm happy to have you, Symbolic Soul. We're trying to kick the year off with purpose and healing and understanding so that we can push the culture forward this year in a way like never before. And that's why I wanted to start this first episode of the year with you so we can talk exclusively about that. So are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm blessed to be the first person of 2021 to be on Rappers in My Backyard. That humbles me. I'm so blessed. You know, I'm happy that I was chosen to be the first person to set off 2021. Yes. Well,
you know what? I really love all the work that you do and that you are doing to push the culture forward. So let's get right into these questions. What have you been up to?
Oh, man, I've been up to a lot. I mean, God is starting already, basically. You know, I started this 21-day fast. And, you know, every year I fast. Well, I try to fast like every month for like at least 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Mondays itself, I fast no meat Mondays. So I only eat seafood on Mondays. I find that gives me good clarity, you know, and just a better connection with God. So basically, he started already. God told me to go to this one meeting called Bridging the Gap.
Uh-huh.
And I've never been there before. So I was just like, you know, I'm going to go see what it is. And of course, I'm nervous and scared because, you know, we all are scared of the unknown.
Yes.
But I go there. And then when I go there and introduce myself, you know, the pastor asked me to read a poem. So afterwards, you know, I'm excited, you know, that I got a chance to do that. And I was on the news and everything. And then he asked me to perform at the Alamo Dome. So that's my first time performing at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. So I'm excited about that.
Wow. Congratulations. Because you're from Texas or you're living in Texas right now.
No, I'm in Texas right now, but I'm originally from New Orleans.
You know? Oh, okay.
Ain't nothing like New Orleans.
Nothing like it. That food is delicious. And you know, we can just leave topic and talk about all the delicious things that they got down here. But tell us how you got involved. How did you know that you wanted to be an artist and a writer? Tell me what triggered that for you in your life.
Actually, you know, when I was younger, I used to write songs and stuff, right? And I used to just live inside my head a lot. And I used to write just like, you know, how I was feeling. And then I really felt like they didn't have a God, but then I believed in God. So I was kind of like on the defense with it. Mm-hmm. So I think, and then throughout life, when you don't have parents or to encourage you or motivate you or inspire you to, you know, perfect your gifts and talents, you lose it along the way. So it wasn't until like later on as I grew and went through all of this heartache and pain until I found God, and then God really released those gifts and talents inside of me. And, you know, so then I was able to be like, you know what? All of those years I thought that I lost it, but it came back, and it came back more powerful than ever. So, you know, I'm blessed.
Yes,
you know?
Indeed you are. And what was going on in your life at the time that motivated those thoughts? Because I know that a lot of times when we get the courage to write down our thoughts, it's usually behind a circumstance or a situation or a feeling. What was that for you?
Actually, I had this one friend, right? And I was like a type of person that only have like a small circle of friends, and then I had like just one friend that just this one time, and I felt like she helped me through a lot of things, and I helped her through a lot of things. But then our friendship fell apart, and so whenever I lose something in life, I have to sit down and do some self-reflecting. So when I lost that friendship, I had to self-reflect. And I just started, like just looking at myself within myself and finding out what about myself, like, because I find that I lost like a lot of friendships. So I was like, what about myself that makes me keep losing these friendships that I'm thinking that are good and solid? And then, thinking that they're supposed to last for a lifetime. But once I started doing soul searching and everything, I realized that these friendships was only supposed to last for a season. That's what it was supposed to be. So when that happened, I started saying, you know what, I want to do more. So I started, branching out and just going out. I've been living in San Antonio for like 10 plus years, and I don't know a lot of things around San Antonio until I started actually like, saying that, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to step out in fear. I'm going to go out there and see what else the world has, for the offer, and then meet new friends and meet new people and just learn to make a difference. I don't just want to be in this world existing. I want to live, and that's what I did.
Yes. And, I appreciate your honesty with that, because that's the way that we really get down to the core. Like you said, you asked yourself a question. What part do I play in the fact that I don't have the same friends and the same relationships? And see, that's what I think all of us need to do as individuals, because nothing happens by accident. It always comes back to us. We always have a part to play with it, and we always have a responsibility to see what that is and to get through that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
yeah, that's what I had to do, basically.
And you got that done, so much so that it allowed you to come up with your project, which I really love. How did you come up with Black Child, and why did you name it Black Child specifically?
Ooh, so basically I was I wrote the poem first.
Okay.
Like a while back. And then it's amazing, and I'm a open person, transparent. So, most of my ideas come when I'm be in the bathroom. Sometimes I could just be in the mirror. That's where my song Fly came from.
Okay.
The lyrics, and then I was just like looking in the mirror, and I was like, oh, I feel fly. And I was like, yeah, I woke up feeling fly. And then that's where, my chorus came from. So I was in the bathroom, and then just the lyrics for Black Child just came to me, the chorus. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna name it that. That's what the world what we was going through at the time. I said, yeah. And then I was just gonna speak to women or girls, women and girls. And
right.
We all are God's children. So I said, I want to make it, it's about a Black child,
Yeah.
And that's where it came from.
And it's such a strong, I love the picture that you chose for the LP. And I really, really would like if you would just share a few lines of that beautiful poem. I can't remember, and it doesn't come out better than from the person that wrote it. So can you share a little bit with the audience today?
So Black Child, on the cover, that is my little G baby, my only boy grandbaby.
Wow.
That I put on the cover of the Black Child. So it goes, dear Black Child, wear your crown, hold your head up high, and don't you look down. The sky is the limit. Believe in your dreams. If you believe, you will receive. Dear Black Child, hold your head up high. Wear your crown. Oh, wait. I just like
redo.
I don't know that one. Like, I don't know that one. I thought I could remember it.
No worries, no worries. I mean, between us kicking this off and between all of the emotion that goes into your project, but I'm going to give you 5 seconds because we need those lines. I need you to download them and give them to us.
Let me see. The sky is the limit.
The sky is the limit.
Child.
We'll come back to it.
Right.
We'll come back to it. But
you
why?
Go with that one.
Yeah. And it'll come to you specifically. So we'll deal with that after we deal with the stuff on the grill. But specifically, why is this project so important to you? And what is it that you want our audience, your listeners, the people who pick up that project to get from it?
Basically, this project is a single off of my album that I'm working on called Beautifully Flawed. And oh my gosh, on this album, I'm going to have like several different, I mean, I took it from, you know, just from a book to now I put it on an album. I want to touch many different souls with this album. And I want to have everything from, I'm talking about COVID to hope and give hope and inspiration and motivation and inspiring people. So I have several different things on this album. So I'm excited about it.
And we are too. And it's like the food that we need to feed ourselves in this new year, especially. It is really, really necessary and needed. And with that, I think we need to go to the grill. Let's go to the grill. Let's go to the grill. We need to talk about healing souls today and how important that is to us moving forward in 2021 in a way that's motivating, inclusive, and healing to our souls. So I know that you wrote a book called Healing Souls. So we're going to talk about, through your book and through our understanding of healing souls, how we can do better with that and some of the things that we can have the audience members do in their own time in order to heal their souls too. So I wanted to start this particular segment with saying that you particularly shared, because I read some of your book, that your healing soul came from your experience with domestic violence. And so I wanted to talk about that because I know a lot of people, I know a lot of women specifically that have dealt with domestic violence and how that pattern of behavior in any relationship is very unhealthy because it's a relationship of trying to gain power, manipulation over someone else. So that's what domestic violence is, and that's what it'll always be. And it's a very defeating thing that we're dealing with right now. So because of the domestic violence, how did you heal your soul? What was the first thing that you did to heal your soul?
For the domestic violence, the first thing I did, honestly, was I had to find God. When I found God, God spoke to me. God told me, hey, you know what? You are not everything that people said you were. You know, look at yourself through my eyes. And when God said that, I was able to find strength and courage and to be brave and to be like, you know what? I know I'm better than this, so I have to walk away. You know, I love you, but I have to make a decision to love me more. And that's what I had to do.
And that's what a lot of us have to do. And that to me is that first thing with making that connection with you, your spirituality, to ask yourself those real questions that unfortunately we can't ask when we're surrounded with the noise, you know, with everything that's going on. So, I mean, healing our souls too. I mean, I know we just touched on the domestic violence just a little bit, you know, that would have to be a whole different show. But how would you say that we can heal our souls at this particular time with what we experience with the Capitol unrest, with this police brutality, this whole thing that we went through as a culture with this election, and still seeing the hard truths of it daily on television. How do you think that we could look at that differently, or how we can heal ourselves in a way that we can push beyond what society sees us as?
I feel like we can do that by journaling plays a big part when it comes to healing. If we can start journaling and telling our story and just getting out there and be brave and courageous and just start talking about it, let's not keep it in silence no more. Let's start talking about it. And so we can all try to make a difference and help and learn how to grow together as a community, as a culture,
Yes. That to me is the answer, is that we got to start dealing with our truths. I just think us as a culture, the Black culture, we're always taught that we got to be tough, but healing comes when you recognize its power, because that's the only way you can see it truly, and I think that our culture keeps us away from experience that humbleness or that vulnerability, because I know I was brought up with you got to be tough, you got to, stand up, and these things will happen and all that. And I understand that, but where's the other part of that? Where do I learn the humbleness and the healing involved with the process?
We got to learn how to listen. First of all, there's a difference in hearing and listening. When we learn how to listen, we can sit down and block out all of the noise and just, let God speak to us, and when we learn how to let God speak to us, we don't have to listen to everything. I barely watch the news because the news is so depressing to me, so if we learn how to not listen to what man says, but what God says, then we can learn how to heal ourselves from within. And then we can learn how to go out in the world and make a difference, basically.
Definitely. That makes sense. Heal within so that we can push out the positivity and the help and the motivation needed for our culture. And speaking of motivation and hope, healing and determination, do you find that your book offers the type of healing that is based on your personal experience, or would you say that it definitely encompasses a whole host of experiences?
I feel like my book encompasses a whole host of experiences because of the fact that, yes, it started with my personal experiences, but when I write, I sit down and I think about so it might start off with my story. But then I think about, okay, how can I go deeper? Because I want other people to touch. I want this book and my words to be touched by other people. And God gives me these words. So I need to know how can I deliver them where people can understand it. Because, see, that's why I say I'm a different type of poet, because I don't just say the words and these big words and everything. Yes, I make sure I tell it like a story form so people can relate to it. So even if it's my story in the beginning, I put somebody else's story too. I go back and I'm like, God, make me feel the energy that somebody else might feel so I could touch other people's lives with my story as well as their story, even though I don't even know them,
Right. And even though you're still working on your story, you know what I mean? You are still putting one foot in front of the other to not only continually heal your soul, but have the capacity to heal others. And that is what it is all about. So we are going to take healing souls off the grill. Take it off. And we are going to get back to the questions and talk a little bit more about what you are doing as far as healing souls and just changing the dynamic of how artistry can be viewed. Today's music, Symbolic Soul, as you know, is not dealing with these hard facts that we need to deal with. It's still on the materialistic way. I need a watch, I need a gold tooth, and all of those things. So with your project, Black Child, how are you marketing it? How are you getting it out to the people?
Actually now it's just a single, right? So
Right.
that's how come I don't really know the words yet. So I just went in the studio, like because when I write, see, at first, like I felt like I had an issue. Once again, it was like those labels that teachers and everybody else put on me. So when it came to me writing on paper, they made it seem like I couldn't read or write. So when now as I grew older, now I have a phone, so I write in my phone. So basically, the words come to me, I write it, and I knew that this was going to be my next single on my project. So I just went in the studio and recorded it. So that's how come I really don't know the words like that. I listened to it a couple of times, but I have other ones that I'm going to put out that's just like, I just want the music to speak for itself. And just like you said, nowadays, if you have a nice beat, that's all they listening to. They're not really listening to the words, or they might hear something that what everybody else is doing. I want it to be different. I want mine to touch everybody and want people to get a message from it. That's how I'm coming different with it, basically.
Yeah, we got to get back to the message. I agree with you totally. We're getting a lot of hot tracks, but there's nothing else behind it. And that's why we can't remember not one song. I can't remember one song that played even last year that was memorable to me, because it's so fleeting. It's so doesn't have any depth to it or anything else like that. So I'm really hoping that we get back to the words and the power of the words, and that working in unison with the track in order to deliver a stronger, more thorough message.
Yes, ma'am.
I really do. So let's get back to talking about your book, Healing Souls, because I would like to know how it came together and who'd you work with to publish the book.
Actually, my book was supposed to come out last year, right? God just led me to these different people, and God said, you know what? They spoke life to me. They said, you can write a book. And I'm a person, I was like, all of these labels my whole life told me that I couldn't read or write. And then when you think about a book, I'm like, a book? I don't think I can do that. But it came from God. One weekend, God said, you can't make the time. So I need you to go to this motel and shut your phone off and everything, and then, and pray about it. And I would give you the words, and God, the whole book just came from God. And one weekend I was in that motel, and God told me the words. He told me how to put it together. Because when you think about it, it's very overwhelming,
Yes.
And it was overwhelming me. That's why I couldn't take the time to sit down and write it. But when I went to that hotel, God showed me how to put it in formatted and everything like that. And I was just like, wow. Nobody but God. All the glory belongs to Him.
There it is. I can't say it no other way. But I want to ask you another question, Symbolic. So why do you think that people consider, not all people, but a lot of people, because, hip hop, rap, music, all of that stuff, it's more of like a swag and a thing, a materialistic thing. But though it just seems like nobody's talking about God and how important that is as the nucleus of their whole understanding and creativity. Why don't you think more artists speak about God in the same way you just spoke to me?
Because they're afraid. They're afraid of how many followers they might lose. Or, they're afraid of the influence. They're afraid of if somebody going to look at them the same way. That's what it is. You're just afraid. Because basically when I first started, I started out, I think, because I haven't been doing this that long, and God has moved in my life in major ways. So when I first started out, I was like looking up other people quotes and posting them on my social media or whatever. And as time went on, I started making my own quotes, right? So then I asked a friend of mine, I was like, you know what? I'm still starting out with God or whatever. So now how can I add God to it? I was kind of afraid at first too, like how many followers I'm going to lose. Is people going to listen to what I had to say? Because I heard a long time ago, somebody was making a comment and it was like, oh yeah, I unfollowed them because that's all they did was talk about God. But I'm just like, you know what? It's because of God that I'm still here. So whoever don't want to hear it, you can unfollow me. I'm okay with it, I'm brave enough to say, you know what? I know that if it wasn't for him and it wasn't for his grace, I wouldn't be here. So go ahead and unfollow me if that ain't what you're trying to hear, but I'm going to talk about it.
Right, right. And I feel the same way. I mean, like a lot of people, different guests we've had on the show, you know, a lot of people who write comments and stuff, they want to say, well, why didn't you ask them about this? You know, something that happened in their lives that wasn't successful for them. And that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to motivate the culture. Everything that we go through as a culture is based on our circumstances, right? So why would I beat another person that looks like me down because of their circumstances? It just doesn't make sense to me. And like you, I will not chase a subscriber. I will not chase a follower. And I will not chase anything that is not of motivation, positivity, and inclusivity. Because that's not what it's about. If you're not helping, you're hurting. And if you're hurting, get out of my way. You know what I mean? Ma'am. And I'm serious about it.
You couldn't have put that better.
I'm so serious about it. But, you know, the Holy Spirit is waiting for us to call on him. You know, and so when we begin to call on him, then we will begin to get answers. And thank you so much for answering that question honestly. And like I said, if we only get 4 views on this baby, guess what? It's 4 views. We reached 4 people. Because you know how that goes. So do you feel that more artists will step up to use their voices this year positively to motivate the culture forward?
I feel like they are. I feel like with the times that we're in right now, honestly, because that's when God comes, when you are in your hardest time. So honestly, the times that we're in the hardest time. So God's going to speak to a lot of people when they're in that isolation, and they're going to want to talk about it. They ain't going to have no choice but to talk about it. They're going to understand finally, you know what? If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to speak to you. I wouldn't still have all of these things that I have. You know, I wouldn't have breath. The most important things that we take for granted now is really showing us that, you know what, it's real.
Yeah, it ain't going down no more. You can't phone it in no more. If we help one person, we have done our job. You know what I mean? Symbolic. And that's the only way we can make the change is just one person at a time, one soul at a time, and also continue to do the work that we need on ourselves so that we too can not just talk about it, but be about it.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's where I'm at.
All about the work.
And again, how can we follow your movement? How can we keep up with you? Because like you said, I know you just released a single. You got your book in rotation and you're working on several different things. So we want to know how we can follow your movement. Let us know what you up to, your Instagram. You got a website and all of that neat stuff.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook under Symbolic Soul 77.
Okay.
That's my Instagram and Facebook name. My government name is Aisha Chantel Ward. I post daily inspirational quotes, messages, just even if you want to see my smiling face. You know, and a nice little message or something like that, I'll post it. I use my platform to motivate, inspire, and encourage others. You know,
right.
I'm not just on there for no likes or, you know, the followers or whatever. I know that I have a purpose, and I live my life for purpose, basically. You know, that's what I do. And if you want to buy my book, Healing Souls, Turning Pain into Purpose, you can go to my website, which is symbolicsoul77.com.
Sounds like a plan to me. Let's go back to our quote, Symbolic, because I think that it basically set the stage for our great conversation. And it's all about happiness is when you think what you say and what you do are all in harmony together. That's truly what happiness is. And me and Symbolic Soul had an opportunity to heal some souls today. So you go out there, you guys, and you support her book, and you support her record, and you support the movement that she's doing, that we're doing in terms of trying to push the culture forward. So to you, Symbolic, did you remember that poem yet?
I did not.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I can remember other poems. If you want me to say a poem, I can say a poem.
Well, tell me something nice. Give me something to heal my soul, baby.
Here we go. All right, I'll do this one. This one's called Goddess. All right. So, woman, the goddess of the universe. She hurts, but she still wears her skirts while she maintains her self-worth. Since birth, she has been bred to hold the whole world on her shoulders. Time after time, the burdens become unbearable, but she can't quit because those shoulders was made for this, made for the chaos that would eventually be endured, made for the struggles that continue to knock on her front door. Woman, you are my hero, or better yet, my she-ro, struggling to make sure your babies are good, oftentimes misunderstood. And God forbid you have an attitude. You look to the Savior for guidance because you really don't want to be rude. But with this weight on your shoulders, who looks out for you? Your man don't understand, even if you gave him a clue. Growing tired and weak, repeating the same things week after week. But you can't give up because them kids got to eat. Baby daddy ain't going to feed them. He's somewhere making sure his needs are met. And he well fed. Not to mention the fact that your kids barely see his trifling.
Ow!
But let's label him what he is, and that's a deadbeat dad. Now you're left with the scars and the responsibilities that your kid's father didn't care enough to bear. He walks away without a care in the world. There goes more added weight that you have yet to escape. But no worries, you are strong, woman. You were created to handle it all. Bear the burdens of this world, staying firm through it all, not backing down from nothing or no one, because you are a goddess, and goddesses don't fall.
There it is. And you know what? Symbolic Soul, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. We love you. Let's continue to heal souls. And I will be checking for you. And let's meet up again to catch up and see how you can push this thing forward. Thanks so much. Hang with me for a minute. And let me tell you something. You guys, we are kicking it off the right way with motivation, healing, and inspiration. Thanks so much to our special guest today, Symbolic Soul. And remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell. And also make sure you go to the website, sign up for the newsletter so you will know everything that's going on in Rappers in My Backyard. Thanks again for tuning in. So happy to talk, express, relate, connect next Sunday at 2. We on go, baby.
Thank you for having me.